What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Mathews, aka B Jizzle.
Hey, man, and it's your co-host that does it the most, Rick Masters. You already know what time it is. Hey, we got these $25 shirts, the Pull-Up Podcast shirts, man. Black, red, white. White takes $25, $30 for the hoodies. Hey, man, hit us up in our DMs, me or B Jizzle, at Rick Masters23 or Mr. Lee on Instagram, Rick Masters everywhere else. Throw the assist back to you, B Jizzle.
Yes, sir. Hit us all on your social media, Instagram, B Jizzle, my social media, BJIZZLE. Follow my co-host, Rick Master, at RickMaster23. Follow us at _ the pull-up _ you know what I'm saying? Twitter, TikTok, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast, you know what I'm saying? YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe all of our YouTube videos. Hit that notification bell by subscribe button, get all updated content. Rick, let's get into it, you know what I'm saying? We are a week away from the All-Star break, just a week ago. Let's talk about something that's going to be happening probably next month. The playoffs start April the 10th. So we can kind of get a little good feel of where all the teams are in the NBA. Based on what you've seen, who do you see coming first out the Western Conference? And then we'll get into the Eastern Conference. From what you see, who do you think is the Western Conference champions this year? Let me hear from you.
Hey, man, Western Conference champions. All right, so it's 3 picks based off of certain things, B Jizzle. This is what I'm going to say. If we got the LA Clippers fully healthy, they already number one for me. If we get Paul George, Kawhi Leonard back, because look, man, they are literally killing without their main players. So I already know if the Claw and PG-13 come back, I'm going to go ahead and give that Western Conference to them. But now, let's say for some weird reason that doesn't happen. If Chris Paul is healthy, I'm going with Phoenix. All right, but that's keep in mind, people, that's if PG-13 and Kawhi don't come back to the Clippers. And then my last but not least, man, in that little last round is Golden State Warriors. That'll be my 3rd pick coming out the West if Chris Paul doesn't come back to Phoenix and PG-13 and the Claw don't come back to the Clippers. Because, Golden State Warriors, the way Steph got them boys running that system with Steve Kerr, I don't really see nobody touching them. So if I had to pick, if you you got to pick one fully healthy, I'm going with the LA Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi, man. But what you think about that?
All right, so let's get a little bit deeper into this. I got the LA Clippers winning the entire Western Conference. I'm just going to say it right now. 1 through 12, I'm going to go from 3 different suspects. Depth, matchups, as well as, coaching. Those are my 3, emphasis. The depth 1 through 12 for the Los Angeles Clippers is deep. I'm going based off everybody healthy. All the teams healthy. LA Clippers got the most depth. You talk about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who I believe is the best duo in the Western Conference. Better than Steph and Clay, better than Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, better than Devin Booker and Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Give me whoever you want to give me. I'm taking Kawhi Leonard and Paul George above all of them. Then you take the role players. Norman Powell can get you 20. Great two-way player. Reggie Jackson, you saw what he did the other night. Big-time player. Marcus Morris, Luke Kennard, Ivica Zubac, Nico Batum, Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Robert Covington. That's 1 through 12 roster. There's no weak links. Each one of those guys put emphasis on their roles on that team, right? And from what I'm seeing, their system of play, they have very long defenders. You're talking about Kawhi and PG, of course, elite two-way defenders, PG, defensive all-team, Kawhi Leonard, 2-time all-defensive player of the year. Those are 2 elite wing defenders who can score the ball well. You got Norman Powell at 6'4" at the point guard position. He can lock up, and he plays his system the right way. Terrence Mann, he's 6'5", and he's able to guard little guards like Steph Curry, like Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell. Terrence Mann has the athletic ability to do both. And then you got Nicholas Batum. You got, Robert Covington. 6'7", 6'8" guys who are long athletic wings who don't ask for too much scoring, but can hit big shots, and they're able to play exceptional elite defense. And then, of course, the outside shooting. The outside shooting of Luke Kennard and Amir Coffey. There are 2 left-handed shooters, you know what I'm saying? Left-handed, you know what we say about those. They can usually shoot the ball. Those are big additions. And then I'm going to say this, I'm going to give it back to you. The big-time players make the difference in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, down the stretch, I want the ball in their hands. Reggie Jackson, you saw what he did the other night against the Lakers. I think the world is starting to be on notice who Reggie Jackson really is. This guy's built for these big moments, and he's a big-time playoff performer. That's why they signed him last year from the Clippers. And then you got Norman Powell, who's somewhat of a big time player as well. Like he hits big shots. He makes the right plays. He don't make too many mistakes. He's kind of like a mini Kawhi a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He takes his time and gets to his spots. But let me hear what you guys say a little bit more about that, bro.
I mean, look, and I'm gonna be real with you. I already picked the Clippers if everybody's healthy. I stated that in the beginning, and you did a real good deep analysis on that. So what I was gonna say, you kind of already said, but I do want to ask this because I don't want to repeat. I do want to ask you this. Let's say that PG or Kawhi Leonard, I'd be nice to the Clippers. Only one of them get to come back. Let's just say the Claw comes back, but PG doesn't come back. Do you still feel like, based off of everything you just said that I actually agree with, do you feel like he still could take them to the Western Conference Finals and win it?
That's a good question, bro. That's a great question. I do. Now, I'm just gonna put this out the way before I get started. Paul George was seen shooting jump shots yesterday at practice at the Clippers facility. You know what I'm saying? So, based off my resources and who I've talked to, they're both gonna be coming back sometime in March together. But I mean, we'll wait to see that happens, in fruition. But if you're just answering your question, I believe Kawhi with him, they can take them to the conference finals because here's the thing: Paul George nearly did it without Kawhi Leonard last year, and they nearly beat Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? A couple of plays go their way, then they gonna win the West, which is crazy to say. But Kawhi, in those moments, that's what he's built for. He's the best playoff performer in the league, in my opinion. Just off matchups. First of all, I'm gonna let you respond. I'm gonna finish my last point.
All right, cool. So you still think the Claw can do it? I mean, I can see why you say that. Only reason why I pose that question to you, B Jizzle, is because I think about, I do think about Phoenix. I do think about Golden State Warriors, and no, they're not as deep as the Clippers, but I do like the system. It's like whoever you plug in on both systems, the team runs very efficiently. So I was thinking in my mind, like, okay, and like you said, according to your sources, but I'm being hypothetical here. According to in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let's say Kawhi just comes back fully healthy. You have the Clippers, they're playing well. How would they come at a Phoenix team fully healthy? How would they come at the Golden State Warriors fully healthy with Green? Because to me, I look at it like it could go to a 6 or 7 series because watching the Golden State Warriors and the Clippers, in the Phoenix Suns, man, I'm just like, they're not going to be an easy team to just beat. They're not going to be a team where you could just kind of walk over and call it like I'm going home type of thing. Like you're going to sweep or even a gentleman's sweep in my opinion. But now again, if the Clippers do come back 100%, then yes, I really have no worries. I was just thinking based off the past and what we've seen in the last 2 years, we've seen that Paul George, and really I think he got hurt because he was just playing too much and too long. And then Kawhi Leonard, we never know when he'll get hurt. I was wondering if only one of them came back, do you think facing off just with a full-headed dragon like Golden State and a full-headed dragon like, Phoenix Suns, will it kind of slow them up a little bit, even though they do have a deep and efficient team? So I think, yes, Kawhi could pull it off. He's shown it in his own experience, but I think it'd just be a longer playoff game, in my opinion. What you think?
So let me kind of go through the matchups because that's what's going to come down to who's going to be facing who. So the 8 teams in the playoffs: the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Utah Jazz, the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, and then LA Clippers. And then playing teams are the Lakers and the Pelicans. Based off of each team, the Clippers, I can name each reason why they beat each team. Phoenix has a good chance because of their depth. They have a lot of lengthy players that got outside shooting. Here's the problem, I think, though. Again, it comes down to your superstars and your all-stars in the playoffs. Kawhi and Paul George are more dominant than Devin Booker and Chris Paul. They just are. Like, based off what we saw last year, the Clippers are just deeper. They're more stronger. They're more bigger. They have longer defenders, and they have just as good outside shooting. So those components, I believe, they'll just have an edge over Phoenix. Golden State don't have enough size. They've been struggling within the last couple weeks since Draymond Green's been out. 3 months, Steph Curry's been in somewhat of a slump. Klay Thompson is coming back from that injury. He doesn't look the same. I just think they don't have enough size right now. Memphis don't have enough experience. Utah, they're mentally fractured by last year, what the Clippers did to them. Great season team, but in playoffs, they're going to fold. Dallas, same thing, still mentally fractured what the Clippers did to them. They don't have enough pieces to compete with the Clippers. But here's the team I think people need to be paying attention to if they're full strength, and that's Denver. Nikola Jokic got this team 37-23 right now. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., you add those two guys back, you can say their core is not as good as the Clippers with Kawhi PG and Reggie, or Kawhi PG and Norman Powell, but they have a good enough system where they can compete. Now, here's the problem, though. They don't have enough depth. They don't have enough depth to match the Clippers, as well as the coaching of, Ty Lue. He's not going to give up that 3-1 lead, just like, Doc Rivers did last couple years ago in the bubble. But, them and then Minnesota, they don't have enough. And then the Lakers don't have enough. They just don't have enough. They're not good enough. So each one of those teams, if I had to pick and choose full strength, who would give them the best shot, it would be Phoenix and Denver. I'm not really concerned about Golden State, and I'm not concerned about Utah or Memphis. But what else you got to say about that before we move on, bro?
Hey, man, everything you said, I really can't rebuttal, man. I'm agree with you on that.